December 2nd. Welcome to our new council facility. And let's meet some people. It's a nice facility. Very proud and happy to be here. We'll have roll call, please.
Councilmember Sanders.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Here.
Mayor Silva.
Present.
Councilmember Villegas Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Present.
Okay, this is a public meeting. If there's an item on the agenda on which you wish to confer, we're asked to complete a blue sticker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council, the successor agency to the RDA and successor housing agency are not required to identify themselves. However, this information assists the mayor by ensuring that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized and also assist the city clerk in preparing the city council meeting minutes. If the item is announced and your name is called by the mayor, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. And if the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. If you wish to address the council, successor agency to the RDA, and successor housing agency concerning any other matter not appearing on the agenda, you may do so during the public comment portion of the agenda. It shouldn't be too long, but I suspect it will be a short meeting. We have so we have the pledge and invocation.
Please join me. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for this glorious day. And as we enter into this season when we are reminded of our many blessings, help us to develop and encourage one another through this season. Help us to be examples to those that we meet. Help us to learn words of encouragement for those who could use it. Help us to be mindful of our responsibilities here as elected officials. Pray in your precious name. Amen.
Okay, next item on the agenda is our report from our city attorney on closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On a motion by Councilmember Cardenas, second by Councilmember Sanders, the City Council met in closed session at 11:31 a.m. All council members were present, with Councilmember Jackson arriving at 11:34 a.m. and Councilmember Villegas Walker arriving at 11:40 a.m. A report was given to the council on the anticipated litigation item, which was for information only with no direction or action to report. A report was given to the council on the City of El Centro et al. Versus Lanier et al. Case, which was for information only with no direction or action to report. James Lowe, outside counsel, participated in the report telephonically. A report was given to the council on the unfair practice charge filed with the California Public Employee Relations Board entitled Teamsters Local 542 versus City of El Centro, and there is final action to report. The proposed decision, which was to dismiss the complaint and underlying unfair practice charge, became final effective November 26, 2014. On a motion by Councilmember Villegas Walker, second by Councilmember Sanders, the council moved to adjourn back into closed session after the open session meeting. Motion carried 4-0 with Mayor Silva absent as he had excused himself from closed session at 12:15 p.m. and closed session adjourned at 12:35 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Becker. We're going to table recognition for Finance Director Letty Sasura, who's not here today. So it's a good idea to have her present and recognize her. So that'll be tabled for the next council meeting. Next is my pleasure to introduce Anna Quebec, Director of the California Healthy Eating Active Living Cities Campaign, here to recognize our council members together Sanders with the Champion of Health Award.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Silva, council members, staff, and members of the community. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here presenting this award to Ms. Sanders. And just to put things within a context, your city is a healthy eating, active living city and has been diligently working to fight childhood obesity and diabetes, which my parent organization, California Center for Public Health Advocacy, is sworn to do research advocacy to fight obesity and diabetes. And every year we acknowledge, recognize leaders who help their communities in different ways. And this unique awards program recognizes a diverse set of leaders committed to raising awareness about the need to combat health disparities and build healthier communities in California. The Health Champion category recognizes elected officials whose work has impacted health disparities and made systematic changes to the physical, social, and economic conditions that contribute to poor health, particularly obesity and diabetes in California. Ms. Sanders has been a strong advocate at all levels of government for several decades due to her concern that the lack of education and job opportunities often lead to inadequate housing and poor health. She has the unique ability of being able to place herself in others' shoes, and that means that gives her an interesting perspective of the unmet needs of the community, her community, and its residents. She has shown a commitment to engaging and empowering her community residents in the pursuit of better health. The mayor and her fellow council members support her efforts as she advocates for enhanced recreational opportunities, affordable housing, and healthy living. Along with her colleagues, she works towards establishing policies that will improve the overall quality of life for each and everyone who visits or who call El Centro home. So here's our awards. And I would also like to present a certificate of recognition along with the award, who is signed by Senator Kathleen Galgiani, the California Senate, recognizing Sidali Sanders for her efforts. So I'm just going to bring these over.
Don't drop it. Mayor, if I may have some comments. An award of this magnitude is always very humbling. Certainly Connaught and his organization pleases me very much that I am the recipient. But as you acknowledged in your comments, this is not an award just for me, it's an award for the city. My colleagues have been very supportive of my energy and my effort as I reach out to this community. I've had the privilege of working on ad hoc committees which allow me to do this through appointments from the mayor. And I am very pleased to be the recipient, and I thank you very much. So, Mr. Mayor and my colleagues, I thank you for the support that you've given me over the number of years so that I can do this type of work and enhance the quality of life for the citizens of El Centro. So, thanks to you.
We're equally proud of your accomplishments. And, as you know, as we noted last week when we reorg, I did a little research on your tenure on this council, and you are a record-breaking mayor of the 5 terms, and more to come, I'm sure. And your accomplishments is very happy to share with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I just concur with our mayor, and you know, Ms. Sanders is just an awesome component to this council, and she's a mentor to me and a great sounding board, and I'm not surprised that she collects these awards.
Congratulate Sedalia. I'd also like to thank you for making the trip to El Centro and for encouraging elected officials to take these kinds of actions that really do galvanize us and encourage us to take those actions necessary to improve the quality of life for our residents. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, and congratulations today. I think anytime any of us can do things to help our community and bring that recognition to our city, I think is certainly a plus, and you've done it for, I won't say decades, but you have done it for decades, and I know many of us appreciate that, and our citizens have certainly benefited from it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is our monthly report of the official chamber of commerce.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Silva. Les Smith, President of the Chamber of Commerce. It's a pleasure to be here. It was very nice to be here for the reorganization the other night. Congratulations on being selected by your peers of the council as mayor for the upcoming year. Mayor Pro Tem Jackson, we look forward to having you attend our monthly board meetings this coming year, as Mayor Silva did this past year, and Councilwoman Villegas Walker now rather than mayor. Thank you for the great job you did this past year. It was a pleasure working with you as well. So onward and upward. We had a great mixer in November. It was held at Desert Auto Plaza. It was very well attended. Some of you were there. It was a great event. The December mixer will be at Community Valley Bank this month on the 18th. And we want to just mention how grateful we are. We have the annual Christmas parade coming up this Saturday, and we're just very grateful for the city's continued patronage and serious backing and input and support for the parade to make it a great community event. I think we have 106 entries, and Ed McGrew will be the honorary grand marshal of this year's parade, and the theme of the parade is growing generations. So we're reaching out to the entire valley to make it a real nice event on Saturday. So we encourage everyone to attend if they can. We had last week a fashion show to kick off the promotion of the Air Show Gala for this year. It was a very successful event. There was approximately 70 ladies in attendance, and we ended up netting about $2,000 on the event. So for the first time, or for the first try, it was a great event considering we only spent about 3 weeks putting it all together. So we're going to start earlier and hopefully have it a bigger, better event next year, just to help promote and encourage support for the Air Show Gala, which in turn then gives a nice community support to the air show itself, so. And then finally, I just look very forward to working with you this coming year, Mayor Silva, especially with the Mexicali officials from the consulate as well as the Tourism Bureau, and in hoping to continue to grow commerce with our neighbors on the other side of the border. Thank you. Any questions?
I'm good. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, items in the consent agenda are approved by one motion. Council members for the public may pull consent items to be considered separately. Any council members wish to put any consent items? Seeing none, I look up a motion to approve items 4 through
26.
26.
Are we ready to just vote?
So motion by Jackson, second by Villegas Walker. Please vote.
Quick fingers.
Can we do it again? Can we redo the vote?
So, by Jackson, second by Walker. Please vote. What?
Bill says not adopted, but I'll go ahead as adopted.
Great.
Technology.
Next item on the agenda is item 27, discussion on establishing priorities for the CDBG entitlement program for the funding cycle of 2015-2016. Presentation by Marcela Pérez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor. Congratulations. Unfortunately, I missed the reorganization, but congratulations on being appointed our mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. The item before you is actually an item that is not new to you. It's actually a discussion we hold with you every year prior to us starting the request for proposal process for the Community Development Block Grant Program. Even though we have not received the amount anticipated for the program year starting on July 1st, 2015, at the recommendation of our CDBG representative, we are considering and hopeful that we receive the amount of funding that we currently have in place for this program year, which is $539,664. We approximately get $92,000 in program income, so roughly we expect to receive or have available to us $600,000 for different projects. As you know, historically with these funds, we have been able to perform and provide different programs and complete different projects in our community, ranging from public services, public infrastructure improvements, which include sidewalks, improvements to our parks, housing activities. With the funds, we are required to set aside funds to do fair housing activities and also to provide funding for staff to do the program administration. What's important with this funding to consider as we establish our projects and programs is that we do meet at least one of the three national objectives that the Department of Housing and Urban Development has, which are basically listed on the council report provided to you, which is basically the benefit of at least 51% low and moderate income individuals. We also can use funds to aid in the prevention or elimination of slum or blight. And also we can address any particular urgency that we may have in our community. So as long as we obviously target those objectives, we can consider funding projects. At this time, I would solicit input from the council regarding what strategies or perhaps what programs, what priorities you would like to see us target before we initiate our RFP process, which is scheduled to start on December 3rd of this year.
You mentioned some of the items, but can you refresh your memory as far as some of the priorities that we had a year ago and some of the company projects that were completed?
Yes, basically, we have historically provided funding, and at your last council meeting, you had a presentation from the different nonprofit groups that provide public services, which target homeless services, programs to the seniors. We've done public infrastructure in the form of sidewalk improvements throughout CDBG, basically what we identify as targeted areas, which meet the 51% low to moderate income group. So the priorities really range from providing services in terms of public services for those in need, provide housing activities, housing rehab. We use some of these funds to do lead abatement, asbestos abatement for projects that we have under our housing program. We haven't done economic development projects with this because we try to use other funding sources for that. We've done code enforcement. It's a program that we have actually funded now for 2 years. So those are some of the projects and the programs that in the past we have, or I guess areas that we have targeted with the funds. So really, as indicated in your report, we can do activities that fall under housing activities, public facilities, public services, and economic development. As part of our preparation for the annual action plan, when we close off the RFP period, which is going to end on January the 5th of 2015, you may recall that we come back with a presentation of all the summary of the projects and programs that we received, and we present those to you, indicating whether or not they're eligible or not. And at that point, obviously, we give you an opportunity to also comment on those projects and programs that we have received for consideration.
Public services are still capped at 15%.
Yes, that is basically a requirement by regulation. It's not a requirement that, the city puts on this funding. It's basically a HUD requirement, and so we have the 15% cap. We also have a cap on program administration, which is 20%, so we can't go beyond that.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. It will dawn on me soon. I'm not sure, since I was not present at the last meeting, due to the fact that I was in Austin, Texas, on behalf of you and this council for NLC, when those particular groups came forward, are they the same groups that we normally see before us?
Yes, basically, we had the representatives from Catholic Charities. We do fund two programs that Catholic Charities operates, which is the House of Hope, where they're providing shelter for individuals, primarily women with children. And we also had the senior nutrition, Dr. Moser, come in and provide some information to us. We also had Yvette from the Imperial County Child Abuse Prevention Council. And we also had representation from Women Haven to come in and talk about, basically, it was a response to when I did the closeout for the CDBG program year ending on June 30th of 2014. The council suggested that, they come in and kind of clarify how they have achieved, their accomplishments, and just provide some information on how they approach their program. And so that's what they came in and provided information to the council.
Having said that, Mr. Mayor, I'm still quite interested in seeing whatever we can do with the meals for seniors. We have a large pocket of senior citizens who are in need, and I would like to see us at least continue that focus. We could also continue the focus, if possible, if funding permits, with the House of Hope, because those young people there with the mothers and their children, I think, are going to be vital. What I was looking for from Mrs. Piedra was also whether or not there's any projects. I know we were able to do the sidewalk and the improvements over in that Colonia area. Is there anything coming forward that we might be able to address with these funds?
In terms of public infrastructure, we look at the areas that are targeted with these funds. We do still have certain areas in terms of sidewalks. And again, when we are evaluating these projects, we look at other alternative funding sources, and if there's gaps and there is a way to actually fund them with this, the CDBG funds, then we do submit those for consideration. Obviously, there's still improvements that need to be done to parks. What we have to make sure that we caution is that we don't put in projects that are considered maintenance type of projects. It has to basically be either new construction or a major rehabilitation project that's submitted, so it can't be maintenance type. So we all, evaluate all those needs. I mean, they're in terms of, public facilities and public infrastructure under that category, there's still needs. And obviously, city departments are encouraged, and we open up the RFP process to city departments as well to submit proposals.
Well, at this time, Mr. Mayor, the two that I've mentioned would be where I would like to see us focus, and of course, if she comes back and others come forward, we'll be able to then set a different set of priorities.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think there's a couple things that I think we were all moved last week or last meeting with the different presentations. I certainly was moved. I won't say more, but I was a little bit more with the senior nutrition program. It seems that, unfortunately, this is a cross-section of our population that oftentimes gets forgotten. Families move away and they're by themselves, and they kind of have to fend for themselves. And it was a little, I guess, eye-opening to find out that sometimes their only interaction with people is the people dropping off these meals. And sometimes they are finding them, either in distress or, unfortunately, sometimes even deceased. So I would certainly like to, continue to support that and maybe even support that at a higher level. As far as a public infrastructure issue, and I think I brought this up at one of the past meetings, I still have a real concern about a lack of sidewalk on Dannenberg. It's still, we're doing the overpass project finally, of course, right before Christmas, which is always great timing. But we've got the only pedestrian way for children or people that don't have vehicles to get to the mall is down Dannenberg, at least legally, or I'll go all the way down to McCabe, I guess. And that's a very narrow road. It's very, lighting is a little on the poor side. And I guess it surprises me sometimes that we haven't had any accidents involving children, kids on bikes. I know I've seen them, and I also see people that just really go down that road at a high rate of speed. So if there's some way to look at infrastructure with these funds to maybe address the need of a sidewalk down Dannenberg, that's something I'd be in favor of addressing.
Mr. Everett, there was an initial meeting held on November 12th at the library. How many folks were in attendance?
Actually, for that meeting, we didn't have participation. We do have another one coming up on the 3rd, and so we hope that we do encourage, obviously, any agency that, or any other new agency that's considering submitting a proposal to attend these meetings so that we can provide them, the application and just information that needs to be provided. So we didn't
So
have
no one attended
participation.
the November
That's
meeting,
correct.
So that, okay. So how do we do the outreach for new agencies to, because obviously everyone that's been through the process before understands the timing and could very well be
Sure.
explain why they went to the November meeting, because then we have a second meeting in the RFP process to get that. What kind of outreach do we do to other agencies, particularly the nonprofits that provide the social service?
Basically, what we do is we have a listing of, the nonprofit agencies that we're aware of that provide services to El Centro residents, and we actually send them a copy of the RFP notice and application so that they're aware that the process is opened up. And then we also put a newspaper ad in the both in the Imperial Valley Press and also the Sol del Valle to make sure that we outreach. And then we also put a notice on the website.
Is it included in our Facebook page or on our Facebook page?
I don't believe in our Facebook page we mentioned that, but we can certainly do
We'll
that.
check that as an additional way of outreach. So to kind of echo the comments of my colleagues, certainly most encouraged by being able to fund social services that meet basic needs. Housing, food, shelter services for victims of domestic violence or homeless populations. I think one of the things, Ms. Guerra, that has most impressed me over the years is your ability to leverage the funding that we receive. So one of the things I would like to have you focus on this funding cycle is in the area of infrastructure improvements. For example, we were just awarded the big grant for Safe Routes to School. So is there an additional way that we could leverage those funds through CDBG, maybe do even more than issue from those funding? The other thing Mr. Jackson, you brought up the issue with regard to Dannenberg, and I agree that's a route, although I have never seen him really walk the street. I must be just going at the wrong time. So that leads me to wonder, how do we kind of figure out which sidewalks maybe we need to focus on? If we do traffic counts, do we ever do pedestrian counts, or do we just look for missing sidewalk segments?
But before we go there, do we have jurisdiction on some portion of that, all of it? All of Dannenberg?
It's all in the city.
All of it?
There's a small portion,
Actually, I thought it was part of the roadway improvement.
Well, I don't know.
there is a little corner on.
I believe the north side's all city, the south portion is county portions of it. But the ultimate right-of-way, I think, is 88 feet. It's a 4-lane road ultimately, so to build the curb gutter sidewalk on either side of the street, we're going to need to figure out how we're going to design the road for the ultimate right-of-way and where we're going to take land at. But right now, we just don't have right-of-way to really go out there and put a sidewalk in.
Maybe you could answer the question with regard to sidewalks. I know we have a sidewalk inventory, so we know what they're missing, but do we really have an idea of pedestrian counts for our sidewalks?
Typically, when you do pedestrian counts, it's included if you're doing a warrant analysis for a signal near a school, and that's when pedestrian counts come into play, but otherwise, we don't do pedestrian counts.
I also support your notion of that, but we think that it gets more complicated. And so we also, in addition to where to put the sidewalk, you don't want a sidewalk with no adjacent road.
Correct.
But one of the things that we've all been contacted about recently are some of the crossings, the crossing guards and crosswalks, and if there's additional again, all getting back to that safe harbor just a little bit. Ms. Piedra, I think you do a remarkable job in leveraging the amount of money that we get, so just keep doing that, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on Councilmember Villegas Walker and about maybe casting a larger net and utilizing Facebook. You know, this should be a competitive process, and the projects that we select should be, you know, the projects that you know, are providing the best service. And I believe if we over communicate this opportunity to all the nonprofits, it would lead to kind of the cream rising to the top when it comes to these projects. You know, and again, I also share the consensus of our council in regards to health and wellness, emergency housing. But I also was hopeful that we're mindful that we're not duplicating services. You know, the Department of Social Services has a very huge responsibility, and that is to take care of people that are in needs. And I just want to make sure that the projects that we are selecting or considering, that it's not a duplication of services that are already out there. And, you know, one of the things that maybe we can consider, and I'm just throwing it out, is maybe activities involve academic development or improving educational outcomes. I just, you know, I agree with securing basic needs. I think that's an absolute priority. But, you know, again, at the same time, there are already services out there that provide some of that. And I'm just a little bit concerned about any possible duplication. But anything related to health and wellness, you know, emergency housing, but maybe we even consider a little bit, you know, some sort of academic development or improving educational outcomes among our youth. I know literacy is a big problem in our community, and I just don't know if there's opportunities for CBG to kind of help out in those areas, and that's kind of where I'm at as far as priorities go.
Thank you. And just to comment with respect to looking at the duplication and possibly double dipping of the organizations, one of the things that we do when we request and get their applications is we ask them for an overall budget of the organization, and also financial audits that show what kind of funding have they received. And we indicate as part of that application process if they are expecting to receive any funds from any other funding source. We do look at that because we realize that there's agencies where maybe they can be funding the same type of person or program. And so when we are selecting these proposals, we're very, very careful to not create that, because we want to make sure that, you know, they're not double dipping with the funding. So we are, you know, we do take that into consideration.
And I think, I'm not sure which council member made the suggestion, but the fact that they have to do a presentation to the council, I think that should be, well, my recommendation would be that it would be a requirement. I think it's a very important educational process when they come before the council and share their results. And I'm hopeful that that would also be included in the RFP, that one of the requirements of receiving these funds is that they present to the council at least, you know, once a year on where they're at on their successes and how we have an understanding of what impact they're making in our community. Just a suggestion.
And we can incorporate that in there. What we do is, once they are selected for funding, we actually engage, and as a matter of fact, we bring those agreements to you for approval. We can make that or include that as a requirement that they come before you and make a presentation. That's not a problem.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce.
And I concur with the comment made. I think the continuation of funding public services is extremely. Last year, it may have been a bit of an anomaly, but last year we funded everyone at the funding level that they instructed, which is kind of nice from having to make decisions. But in previous years, we've had to make very difficult decisions with the people. That was on that one. And I think the council's request to require higher levels of accountability and return on investment, and where did this money go and how does it benefit the community? Wonderful idea that we need to consider. Having the people here last week or the last council meeting was very much informational for me, and being able to being recognized for the
Problem? I think I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
There is a vote required on this action?
Direction to this.
Oh.
That is all we have for open session. We have a couple of informational items. that were sent to us. There's no business from the successor agency to the development agency. There is no business from the successor housing agency. These are public comments. Any member of the public that wishes to address the council? Seeing none, we're going to combine the task force and councilmember report. We'll start with Ms. Sanders.
Mr. Mayor, for the essence of time, I know we are going to be going back into closed session. I thought some of us may wish to join over at Holiday Inn Express with that event, so I would send you my report both from the State League and the National League. Have it available for you at the next meeting.
I'll defer also. I know we've got closed session and photos and some other things that we want to attend. So.
I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. One is that we did have a very successful and community enhancement task force meeting that continues, I think, bring together some really great ideas that we're moving forward with, as well as meeting with the regional animal control group and I think it's the next city manager meeting with regard to whether or not we, or how we fund a service to make sure that the community is on the same page. We're all on the same book and page with regard to is this the direction we want to go. I'd also like to thank very much Councilmember Cardenas for participating in an immigration seminar and outreach effort that we had at Imperial Valley College a week ago, Saturday. Just to open up that dialogue to do better to offer a way forward every single day. I think one of the most surprising statistics we've heard from one of the presenters was the fact that within California it's like 1 in 4 is actually immigrant. And so we understand that immigrant experience versus, was it West Virginia?
Yeah.
Like maybe one person in West Virginia is an immigrant. So it's really a very different, very, very different dynamic. So if we want to have our voice heard with regard to a guest worker program or immigration reform, we're really the ones that need to kind of rise above the din and have those discussions. So I thought it was an excellent group, and again, appreciated Mr. Cardenas being here.
And just to share a little bit on that, I think it showed a lot of boldness on the part of our former mayor to be a part of this discussion. There was a lot of invitations given to folks that did not attend and respectfully declined to attend this forum because of the potential political fallout. But yet our former mayor who was there and launching hand grenades. So I really appreciate her boldness and her ability to speak up and not be scared to take on these tough issues and not put the blinders on to say, okay, you know, there's nothing to see here when, yes, there is plenty to see here. So I do appreciate our mayor's leadership on that. The only thing I wanted to share, Mr. Mayor, is that we met yesterday with our friends of the Centro Community Service Foundation, and I'm happy to report that we donated $1,000 to help supplement some funding on some Christmas bikes with the Imperial County Juvenile Justice Juvenile Justice Commission. So it's one thing for them to buy these bikes, it's another thing for these children not to have helmets and locks. So our foundation, with the help of Ms. Piedra and city staff and the officers that sit on this foundation, we were able to award them $1,000 for these locks and helmets. So again, it's an honor and a privilege to do this, and I'm really excited about the direction our Community Service Foundation is taking. And there's a lot of discussion taking place. City staff has been very supportive of this, and we're going to be giving future grants that are related to parks, recs, city library down the road, and we have a good team of folks that are going to be looking at this, so we're excited about that. And I'm actually looking forward to the opening of our sports complex as well next Friday, so I hope everyone's able to attend. This is pretty exciting stuff, so I'm just glad to be a part of it.
And I'm glad that we provided some funding for Christmas lights.
Yes.
Seasonal lights. And I asked the city clerk, and I mentioned to people that I'm not sure how we came about it. I'm sure that the Centro Christmas tree lighting celebration to a seasonal exciting tea celebration and in our power to revisit that. I attended the retirement party for Captain Howdy. It was very nice, and it's one of the proclamation on behalf of the mayor. Very nice party. They were attended. The more I looked at the celebration, I think it was the safety officers, but it was really evident with the firefighters. They're really a brotherhood. They're really united, and it was really refreshing to see that. Busy season coming. Thursday is the Employee Recognition Award. Saturday is the Christmas parade. The 11th is the Pavilion, Sports Pavilion grand opening, and a lot of stuff coming. That's all I have. So we're going to adjourn into closed session, and then we're going to come back into open session to announce any action that may be taken.
I need a vote so you can go to closed session.
I need a motion to adjourn into closed session.
So, second.
Yeah. Mover.
Okay.
Walker, second by Cardenas.
They should say move like a shaker.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
All right.
So we'll do the picture afterwards?
Okay, we don't have all the votes on here? We're missing, okay. And Mrs. Sanders?
Yes, I just, didn't I?
There you go.
Again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, very good.
Hang on, 1 second.
And then if I can complete my closed session report from what you just had right now, so Terry, motion and second. Closed session resumed at 6:45 p.m. Council considered the performance evaluation of the city attorney. Terry Brownlee, Human Resources Director, participated in the discussion, and the city manager and city attorney excused themselves from the discussion. There was a motion by Councilmember Cardenas, second by Councilmember Sanders, to bring the city attorney's compensation resolution out of closed session for approval. Motion carried 5-0. And closed session concluded at 7:01 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any further business?
Great job.
Thank you. Okay.
Hey, guys.
See you guys on Saturday.
I won't be there Friday.
Where's that?
All day.
Saturday's great.